Welcome, everyone. How we all doing?
Great.
Yeah, that was it. Okay, thank you, everyone, for getting us.
All right. Have a great night.
We were too yeah, that's it. Okay,
Yeah,
we've
we were
done the
nervous.
intro and
You guys
we'll
made
see
us
you later.
nervous because that's the thing. We've never done this before. Actually, you know what? Let's take a moment, right? Because we've never done this before. I've always GM'd on my channel, so I didn't know. I realize now we planned everything. We prepped the layout,
Except
met up these guys, and then one thing that we forgot to mention is who the hell talks first. It's like, is it me? Is it you? Is it me? Is it you? I don't know. Could be both. Why not? Hi everyone, my name's Michael. I'm the Diddles Gamer, and welcome to the channel. Good to see so many wonderful people here. Now, this won't be how we start all these sessions, but I did want to give some premise to this. My dear friend Ryan from Roll for Initiative has offered to run a game of Spelljammer for us, and we are here with some amazing friends to come and play with you. But I'm not a GM here. I'm just a player, so I'm going to leave the rest of this adventure from now on to our dear friend Ryan. So give him a warm welcome. Be nice. I know I'm looking at some of you. I already see you in chat. Be nice. And enjoy the show. All right. Ryan.
Absolutely. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much. This was going to be a Spelljammer adventure. I'm so excited to get to run this. I love space and I love D&D, and now we get to put them together. If you are tried and true and familiar with the Dead Aussie game, with Michael's channel here, you know that we have some really great ways that you can interact with all of us through donations, as far as giving advantage or giving some divine intervention, giving me some pretty nasty stuff that I can throw at them, all the way up to one of our levels. You can work with me one-on-one for a week, and we will build an NPC that will be an ongoing part of this campaign. So we're going to make sure that that goes up in chat so you can look at those, and that'll be fantastic. We got a lot of really awesome people who are going to introduce themselves at the end of today's episode, but let's go ahead and kick things off with the Flight of the Northwest. All right. You awake in darkness. The wide expanse of wild space swirls overhead, the black painted with swirls of pink and teal, blue and green. Stars shine down from above, and the hard deck of the Northwest presses into your back. Sour, acrid air clogs your lungs. And looking around the deck, you can see a handful of your shipmates, most of them unconscious, a few of them dead. Burning and damaged debris litters the area around you. Lockjaw. You see a half-elven man that you recognize. His name is Klein. The end of a hempen rope is wrapped around the railing of the ship to starboard. The other end of the rope, tied securely around Klein's neck as he stands on the railing, staring off into space. Ellen, I don't need you to describe Lockjaw, but before we do anything, I need you to make a death saving throw.
Oh, what?
Okay, then.
Seems mean. Seems like I'm being pranked.
Hope it's not a 1.
We are how many minutes into the
I think less than 1. 1 minute in.
Oh my god. And I realize I'm in the wrong section as well. Bear with me, everyone. I am just getting to
fine.
my I had Roll20 open, but not D&D Beyond, which is where my actual character sheet is. Okay, a death saving throw?
Death saving throw, just roll a d20. You need a 10 or higher.
Okay. Oh my god. 13?
13, so that's 1 success.
Okay.
As you open your eyes and try to move, pain racks through your burned and bruised and bitten body. You have a very hard time moving, but you can cry out as you see that Klein looks over his shoulder and makes eye contact with you. You can see the tilt and list of the Northwest as it is dead in the water, corkscrewing through space. What would you like to say or do?
I know things look dire, Klein, but I think it's time to unwrap that rope from your neck and help me right this ship. And if I can, I will struggle to my feet and essentially offer a hand to Klein, or just literally get the rope off of him.
Sure. Yeah. So he's a good. So he's about a good 20 feet. So you will actually make a athletics or an acrobatics check for me, either one, whichever you prefer, to stand up. We're looking for.
I'm gonna go with 15. Athletics.
Sure thing.
Acrobatics. I somersault over. No, I'm gonna go.
All right, roll that. Let's see what happens.
Athletics. Oh, did I accidentally roll twice then?
Nope, I got it there. So with the 22, so you beat our DC 15. You expend half your movement to stand up. It is incredibly painful to do so, and you can then make it about 15. So you clear about half the distance, a little more than half the distance to him.
Yeah. Come on down now, Klein.
He turns around. I mean, you know that he's a good sailor through and through. He's let go of whatever he was holding on to, so he's just sort of balanced on the railing as he turns to look at you, and you see that he sort of looks out at the rest of the deck, and he just says, he kind of smiles and nods and says, "You know, Exo, I think I feel sorry for you because your end won't be fast." And he pushes off the railing. He falls, and you can see the shimmer of the air envelope of the ship, which should be almost a good 120 feet out. But the ship has been adrift for so long that the air envelope has shrunk. And you can see it glisten 10 feet from the edge of the ship as Klein passes through the envelope into the weightlessness of wild space. The corkscrewing of the ship tightens the rope. I need you to make a second death saving throw.
Is this a trap? Is this a trick? What have I done from
Maybe
the
we'll
outset?
make it.
What have I done
Maybe
from
we'll
the
make it
outset
to
to
12
deserve
episodes.
this? All right, another D20.
Yeah, the DD20. Yeah, we're looking to beat a 10.
Okay. That's a 3.
It's a 3. You stumble as you watch the tightening line, and Klein struggle for a second and then go limp as darkness creeps in and you return to unconsciousness.
Well, I had a good run, everyone. I'll see you on the next 11 episodes.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Ellen.
No worries, no
thanks
worries.
for coming out. Now, 4 weeks earlier, in the wild space above Capri is Davies Station. On a planet, Davies would be just another small-ish town, 3,500 people living and working there, with a couple of hundred merchants and sailors and traders wandering the docks and alehouses. Wide parks, the flat top of Davies Station is known to everybody as the Blade. Comfortable homes and apartments, wide parks and lawns, trees, museums, temples, and shops wind along the streets. and avenues. Beneath the blade is the vertical, inverted, upside-down, tower-like structure known as the gardens. The tower is a network of carved buildings forming a twisted helix down into space. Gardens, farm plots, and trees dot between warehouses, foundries, forges, and packed, tight row houses. Jutting from the gardens are 4 main docks, each with dozens of slips and platforms for docked ships. We begin in the Blade, in the office of a small holding company responsible for chartering and planning voyages out into the expanse of stars and into the astral sea beyond. Inside the owner's office, we see a young person talking to his boss, having just found out that the company is on the verge of bankruptcy. Tucker, can you introduce Will and describe what it is that's going on with him in his boss's office, please?
Will is a young person, looks to be sort of hard to tell direct age, probably human, late 20s, early 30s, somewhere in there. Attractive, a little too symmetrical of features, might have some sort of Fey ancestry, elven ancestry somewhere in his history, but it would be a ways back, most likely. And knowing that things might be folding pretty shortly, they're currently speaking to their boss about possible new ventures of ways to keep the lights on, as it were.
Sure. Yeah. So your boss, Mr. Wilson, is a gnome, very pudgy and portly gnome. Always is in very, very fine clothing that's about a season out of style. But he sits at the desk, so you bring up the idea of a new venture, and he says, Will, now I'm going to be completely honest with you. The fact that you're the one that's been coming up with a lot of the ventures are the situation that we find ourselves in now, and all of the other partners are really pretty tired of it.
Well, they're welcome to come up with something of their own, but someone's gotta, and I don't see anyone else volunteering.
We have a holding on 12 different ships. Now, of the last 14 voyages that you've sent out, 12 of them have broken even, and 2 of them came back at a loss. I mean, the last time that you sent something out and you even accompanied them, the only thing that came back were 2 dead sailors and that damn another one of those damn books that you're always putting your nose through. I appreciate a fine library. However, we have to be turning a profit.
I understand that, and we can certainly turn a profit. We just need to find something to do. And honestly, I think that there's possible routes that could be found, that there are areas that are dangerous to get to right now. If we were able to open some of those up, we could probably get a bit of a jump on the competition, as it were, to be able to control those a bit. Peaceful.
Well, a new route is a very fine idea. And it is the same idea that a number of the rest of us have had. So I'm glad that you're so on board. And by on board, I do in fact mean on board. Now, the only ship that we have a claim, a holding on whatsoever, and it's a tenuous holding at best, is the Northwest. So, you will be acting as the bosun. Now, I need to make clear how important this voyage is. I don't know how well you read through things. You're usually pretty good with the contracts. But if we go under, boy, you need to remember that all holding partners forfeit all personal belongings to pay back the debts accrued. You'll be lucky if you have that little journal of yours once all of this is over, if things don't go well.
I understand, Mr. Wilson. I'll make sure that things go as they should.
Now, a good majority of the major shipping business that gets done out of Toril is off to Kryn space. Now we're looking at the better part of a month and a half, sometimes more than that, just to get the edge of our system. And then the Astral Sea, of course, well, yeah, you think yourself there, but nobody knows how safe that's going to be, and nobody knows exactly how long it's going to take. But if we can find a way to secure a fast and reliable and safe passage from here to Kryn space that doesn't take us a whole goddamn year, we're never going to have to worry about our finances again. And they are going to remember every person on that ship's name from here until the gods come home.
I understand, sir. So you already have the crew assembled?
That's what you're going to be doing. The better part of your magic that you work with your contracts are going to be the next couple of hours working on that. Now, I've already contacted this, he shuffles through a bunch of papers. I've contacted this Captain Grawl. She's aware of what it is that's going to happen, and I'm assuming she's going to go talk to some of her people. But you'll be putting together the day-to-day, the crewmen, the enlisted folk. I want you to work on that. They ship out at the end of first watch. You got about 12 hours. So Godspeed to you.
Thank you for the generous timetable, sir. I'll make sure that gets together and we're good to set sail in 12 hours.
So yeah, you sort of go to your there's a shared office in the rest of the building that the junior partners, and like you walk out the door and it's like everybody is working and like stops and looks at you and then goes back to working.
I know some of y'all knew that this was coming.
All right. So yeah, that'll take you a little bit of time, but we'll bounce back to you in just a moment. That should take us to now down to the gardens. So a lively, raucous group of dock workers and smiths crowd into the Drunken Whale, which is a tavern. On one of the tables, on his back, is a wiry, well-built Goliath man. He's lashed to the table, and his right leg is tangled around the leg of another man. And they're engaging in a leg wrestling contest here in the middle of this lunch break. There are cheers and curses that are rising up. There are ales getting passed around, copper and silver coins that are trading hands as the final match of this leg wrestling contest for pride and for ale and for gold gets into its third and final round. Ellen, can you please introduce and describe Lockjaw for us?
Well, he's alive for one thing. Lockjaw, full of life.
4 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago he was alive.
We don't know. We just don't know. So he is a half-orc who is reaching the twilight of his life. He's the kind of sodden sailor that you see at the end of a pub. His muscles gone wiry from age. A real you can see all the experience he's lived on his face, in the lines, in the wrinkles, in the scars, most prominently on the jaw, and his gold tipped tusks, and yes. He is usually as he is a bard, he's spinning a yarn over a tall ale, hunched over, and really kind of the person who starts talking, and just as the night wears on and on and on, more people just seem to assemble around him. That's the kind of guy that Lockshaw is.
Okay, that's fantastic. So then you are in this a leg wrestling contest with this Goliath, wiry Goliath. You either talked yourself into it or you talked yourself into this instead of a bare knuckle fight.
Yes.
And you are both tied up. So for a little bit of gold and probably a lot better of a story, this very first of 3 bouts to see which of the two of you. Let's go ahead and have just a straight up athletics check.
Right. Let's give it a go, eh?
You're trying to beat a 10 here.
Okay.
Now, winning or losing will adjust this difficulty as we go.
Okay. All right.
The first one's just a 10.
As always, I'm gonna gesture with my head to the nearest lass and get her to pour some booze down my gullet.
So you are tied to a table with a serving waitress pouring beer into you as you. I love it, absolutely.
It's clearly he's done this whole thing as a lark. For a good story, whether he gets injured or not or wins, that'll always be a good story. So let's give it a go. Why can't I see my rolls?
Oof, there we go. I've got it right there. It looks like we've got an 8. Yes. Nah. So you strain and strain, and then you think you strain as your leg tilts just a little too far in the direction that you would rather it not go.
Mercy, Mary! Oh!
Let's see now. He's got momentum on his side. We're going after a DC of 14 this time.
Right. Can I give myself inspiration?
What would Lockjaw do to give himself an inspiration in this very precarious moment?
And when you bring back the next glass, why did you plant one on my cheek for luck? This is
Great.
Anyone. Hey, any server. Just one wet one on his cheek or in his mouth.
Invitation.
Absolutely. Gives him the fuel.
Take inspiration with that. So yeah, roll your athletics and then add your
myself.
D6?
Yeah. I guess I just roll a D6 just straight. Okay.
Yeah, roll the D20 and then add a D6.
Yeah. And then D6.
Oh, even without it. Absolutely. Yes.
Well, that's good because I rolled a 1.
Yeah. so you have it. So at a 23, absolutely. So you're not tied 1-1. You wrench his leg back up towards the middle. The first one to get to 3 successes, or 3 success or 3 failure. That's what's going to determine it here.
Right.
So we're going to go back down to that straight up DC of 10.
Okay.
Absolutely. You continue with that momentum. You see him dig in. The edges of the table start to splinter under his grip, and now we're just at a DC of 8 to finish this young enlisted guy off.
Oh, the things I've done with my legs. Let's go.
Oh, and as you strain to push, it is completely unmoving. 2 successes, 2 failures. This last one is going to do it straight up in the air.
What's
DC
the DC?
Of 10.
Okay.
DC of 10.
Nope.
And a 12. You both are just locked, dead, rock hard calves pressed against each other. A child starts screaming, an elderly woman faints, and you slam his leg over with a sickening, wet, loud crack as his leg breaks his thigh and half of his lower leg still up in the air, the lower half of his leg dangling limp at his side. As you bring your leg over and pop up into a standing position, cheers and some cursing, and the screams of this Goliath behind you.
Oh. It's not the most dangerous time I've had my leg over, I'll tell you that. But I'll only tell you that after someone buys me a drink. And
cheers go up. Absolutely. As you make your way to a table with pats on your back, and this very sort of lovely young gnomish woman sort of like elbows a couple of people out of the way, like elbows them in the shin to get them out of the way, and has a full pint glass that she grabs with two hands to hold up to you.
Excellent.
And as you sit down at the table to bask in your success, you see kind of stomping in from the light rain outside, you see a 7 foot tall, broad-shouldered, dark green dragonborn. If you could almost imagine a dragonborn with Komodo dragon lineage, just thick, ropey, muscled neck up into their head, tri-corner hat, a purple and lavender captain's coat. It has to be described as a captain's coat on, that they sort of shake the water off of, and it's not difficult for them to sort of scan above the others. As you see Captain Grawl walk into the bar, and makes eye contact with you and starts to walk towards your table.
Would I be kind of self-effacing, or is that like unbecoming to Captain Grawl?
You and Grawl have known each other for a very, very long time. And you have both been through a lot. You do know that Grawl is on ship. Mm-hmm. Grawl does not have any tolerance for acting out of line, for undue familiarity. She runs a incredibly disciplined, and viciously disciplined ship, but the two of you are more than just Captain and Exo. You are friends.
Mm-hmm. Well, Captain, I got you a pint. Here, and I might just take one from a nearby platter, and then say,
yeah.
Next one's on me, as I plonk it down in front of Captain Grawl.
You go to take it just as you see like a sort of lavender colored penguin is reaching for it, and they just kind of are like, hey, but that and you grab that and you hand it to them.
Might toss a coin their way, just to be like, fair enough.
She takes it, and she takes the mug, does not drink out of it.
Yeah.
And reaches into her coat and pulls out a oiled sort of document envelope. And you see as she opens it up, she puts it out there. It's a contract. It's a voyage contract. You guys, you sail for yourselves a lot, but there is a holding company that has like a 10% claim to your ship. So you get work from them a lot.
Yeah.
Grawl puts it down onto the table and says, she says, how fast is it that you think that you can put together a couple of people that aren't overly concerned with making it back?
Oh, depends. How much ale have I got to work with? And what's the promise?
Glory, gold, fame ever after, people singing the name of the Northwest until they forget how to sail.
I think in these parts, a glass and some warm thighs is more better payment, but I can probably wrangle around some lost souls in a day.
She pulls out sort of a coin purse to set on. She sets the mug of ale down and then sets the coin purse next to it and says, "Sell the promises if you can, and use the coins if you can't. We sail in 12 hours."
12 hours. Well, looks like I've got 11 hours here then, and 1 hour rounding up some sorry sods. Captain.
You see that she stops herself from smiling from that. Like, you can see the impulses there, and she stops it. And she does narrow her eyes, and she sort of leans into the table a little bit and says, 2 things. See if you can get that Lockridge fella. He was not the quartermaster, not the last one with the spiders, but the one before that, the thing that happened with the squid.
Yes. It'll be some time before I can look at calamari the same way. The screams. Yeah, I'm sure Lockridge will come on board.
She
if
actually
you want to
does,
make up a story in chat, people, as to what happened with the squid, let me know.
She does smile at that one, and then you see sort of the look that you've seen a number of times, like right before a boarding action or something like that. And she tells you, "Listen, Mr. Lockridge, that thing that you always sing about and hope happens the way you go out, there's a pretty good chance that's how we're all going to go on this one. So I need quality men."
All right. Well, then, quality men you'll get, Captain.
You see she claps you on the shoulder and turns to walk out of the bar. And there's a tiefling guy sitting at the bar. And as she walks past, you hear that he chimes in. He shouts out that, I always have the hardest time telling if one of them dragons is the lady or the man. And she turns around and puts her hand like on his shoulder, and her clawed hand kind of ruffles the back of his head. And you see her whisper something into his ear. His eyes go wide, and she slams his face into the bar. It shatters the glass, and blood and ale flies everywhere. She flicks a coin at the bartender and walks out of the bar.
See, and it would have been so much easier to just ask her pronouns. Could have been avoided.
Alrighty, so that's your mission that you find yourself on. That will take us to propped up against the wall in a comfortable, well-appointed leather booth in a restaurant somewhere else in the gardens. We see a sleeping Gif. The entire tavern has gone quiet, and 2 children, presumably the son and daughter of the proprietor of this tavern, are carefully stacking plates and cups on the shoulder, the head, the elbow of this sleeping giant hippopotamus person. One of the plates clinks as a snore comes from the GIF. And Michael, if you would please introduce us to and describe Lockridge.
All right. Leaning back with the groaning seat beneath him, his ears every now and then kind of doing that thing that hippos do with like the little tiny little flick, is a very, very well decorated GIF soldier. He wears a what looks to be kind of a hodgepodge of materials that may have once upon a time been some sort of military uniform, but has long since been added to and ripped from, and you know, generally it looks to be almost as battle scarred as the GIF himself. Very, very bold, kind of like broad shoulders, and a very, very large kind of dad bod gut are the most prominent features of this GIF, with kind of like tufts of this hairy mustache over this rather large lip that every now and then yawns with quite a great stretch. Lockridge also has nearby, but not too far away, a very, very heavy gun. One that would take quite a bit of effort to lift, and it seems to have a series of very unique markings on it in a different language. He's kind of got like these big, heavy kind of ranger boots. You kind of think that maybe just from his appearance that he might be like someone who's more suited to a safari bungalow than you know, kind of life in the city or on dock. But he is quite enjoying the midday nap.
Fantastic. Well, your midday nap is interrupted as a teacup, a saucer, a ale glass, a small sherry glass, and a ceramic soup bowl tumble off of your head and clatter, some of them breaking on the assortment of silverware that is in your lap. Two kids giggle and go running, and the bar goes up in a cheer, and you see like money changing hands as you see this detritus, this flotsam and jetsam that has been stacked upon you as you fell asleep in your booth.
As he sort of corrects himself, he sort of dusts himself off, looks at this. Oi! Enough of your japes, or what? If you're going to have to use me for stacking, okay, at least leave a drink before. All of these cups are empty.
So there's an elderly human man who kind of totters over to you and has a very, you know, for him, what for most humans would be like a large drinking stein that has ale in it, and he sort of brings that over to you, and he says, very sorry, you kids, but what you're going to do, we'll of course clean over. Is there anything else that I can get you? You know, lunch. I'm glad that you enjoyed it so very. I know it was a little bit heavy, of course. But, what? So,
No, I don't think that it was heavy at all. But if you're going to ask me, or could use another slice of that the delicious cheese, perhaps a couple of pints, and whatever that person over there is having, I'll have 3 of those.
Yep, of course. Very much, thank you. Go back, and he sort of totters off after it, and you get a very nice sort of quarter wheel of a Gouda cheese that comes to you, and you have that one large pint, and you can see that he's poured a second one.
You watch as he like kind of distends his jaw and just puts the like quarter wheel in, and in one bite just like bits falling off his jaw onto his shirt, and he's like washing it down. and lets loose just this tremendous, like, he takes a huge deep breath in and yep, there you go.
Fantastic. Yeah. So yeah, you are belching, and there's like the fun of watching these kids stack on things on you. There are some of the patrons now who are like, oh, okay. But Lockjaw, this is what you see as you have asked around and have found this. And this one isn't so much like a tavern like you were in. This is sort of just a little like, you come in, you get lunch, and you leave. Like just a bistro of sorts near the docks. But I mean, Lockridge is very hard to miss. You see him right there in the back.
Yeah. Oh, I wondered where that stench was coming from. Lockridge.
You watch as Lockridge very quickly tries to stand up. He says, "You telling me about stench? I mean, after the incident with the calamari, you really want to tell me that I smell?"
Oh, I mean, a man gets desperate for a bath.
That is very correct. I've definitely very much enjoyed my baths since that day. Come, sit. I've got some food, but it's all mine. But I can order you something if you like.
I prefer my lunches to be liquid. Speaking of, he might undo his flask and offer it to Lockridge.
Oh,
if he needs something to wash it down with.
I literally like gesture at you with a 3/4 filled pint of ale. Right, make a float.
Make it float?
It's an expression. It's about adding stronger alcohol to already existing alcohol to make it float.
Beautiful. Yeah. Okay. He will. He will acquiesce. He'll pour some in.
He'll take the drink, knock it back, and he'll be like, "That's pretty good. All right. Come, have a sit, old friend."
There's we can drink one more of them to seal a deal for you coming aboard the Northwest. Another job. Excellent.
Wait. I mean, is there any more information than that? I mean, I feel as though I mean, you know what? I'm not kidding. I mean, I'm bored out of my skull. Can we at least wait for lunch?
Oh, we've got 12 hours until we set off, so now's the time.
Might be cutting it close. All right. You know what? I'll have a snack and take some of it to go then.
Great. I'm good here. We might spend the time just like drinking and whatnot, but yeah.
All right. Well, you need a hand with anything.
Oh yeah.
A hand? Ugh. No, but I could use an extra leg after leg wrestling, where I bested a Goliath.
Oh, you bested a Goliath, did you?
That's right. And
what, did they just finish high school and they decided to get out of wrestling?
Well, maybe they should have stayed in school. And I like Lockjaw is going to accentuate all the details and fabricate a bit. You know, it's all for
the biggest Goliath you've ever seen.
Oh yeah,
absolutely is.
Lockridge.
One of his teeth was the size of my head.
Lockridge is listening and likewise accentuating it. It's a mix between, you know, like just kind of that playful like kind of banter and like, you know, all right, was he the source of 3 men? Was he? Oh, I knew that you had experience.
3 large men.
Yes,
and that's on a good
I know
day.
you've got plenty of experience handling 3 large men. So I'd have to take your word and pretty accurate. It's very impressive, you know.
I mean,
right.
What can I say? There's something about hairy legs.
Well, you know,
never show me a woman who shaves. I wanna feel like I've landed on
Oh, then
I
you know
want to
what?
feel like I've landed in a briar patch.
Well, if you
Okay,
like any
there we
legs,
go.
then you would have loved
It's
Mark's
gotten
wife.
away from me. I'm gonna be real.
That's
What was
fine.
the rating of this series again?
It's
I mean, I think we can.
it's
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
So
all out of
the
love.
two of you spend, I am assuming, a sizable chunk of that 12 hours catching up and giving the patrons of this little small, like you're in like a Panera. Like this is meant to be like a grab and go that we'll talk about it for months to come before
Wow, those
making
two
your way
jerks
to.
that came in and stayed way too long.
There's now actually like these
Alright.
butt imprints on the chair. It's now officially Lockridge's spot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. All right. That will take us to actually one of the smithing houses, one of the smiths. So in the smiths, we see dozens of workers making repairs to the metal parts that are used to outfit and upgrade the majestic spelljamming ships for the Imperial Navy. There are teams that are hard at work, and we see the foreman, who is a dwarven woman with about a week's worth of stubble and a close-cropped mohawk, sort of is shaking her head in sort of not anger but in disappointment as she places like a stack of papers and a sack of coins on the table and looks up from her table in the little foreman's office up above the working smithy and says, "Well, I do hate to see you go, but I understand that you've got your own things to take care of. But I will miss you, to be sure, to be sure." So as she hands over the coins, can you please introduce us to and describe Ruin Drova for us? Nix.
Just your most as average as average can be. Just, just a plain shirt, plain jumpsuit, plain woolen cap. He learned a long time ago, sticking out gets you volunteered. So he is just absolutely as boring as possible.
Gotcha. Well, yeah. So the foreman has sort of given you, the papers are just sort of showing that you've been employed here for X amount of time. It's all standard stuff that's just got like a wax seal and a signature mark on it. And it's a small coin purse, that could pretty easily last you, a week or so of food and lodging and all of that kind of stuff. And she says, "Well, it's the beginning of the shift change, so it's a good time. I appreciate you letting me know. And if you ever are back this way, then you're more than welcome to come back in and pick up the work that you can. But well, if you will excuse me, I do have the rest of this to see to."
Take my little pouch and stuff it as far down into my jumper as possible.
Or you learned.
Yes. And every job runs its course. It's time I'm moving on from this one.
And as you move on, as you find your way outside of the smith, you're not too far from the docks here down in the gardens. You're sort of in the section of the blade that is right underneath, or section of the garden that's right underneath the blade, which I believe we've got a nice little map of that we can even throw up for people to look at.
Yeah.
If they want to, but you're out and about, and there's tons of food vendors and stalls for tchotchkes and clothing and weapons. This is very much a mercantile area. But as you are sort of walking about, you just left this job, and there's a small thrycreen child, a young boy or young girl is difficult to tell. But a small thrycreen, the insectoid people of wild space and the astral sea, sort of runs up and with both sets of arms on their right sides, sort of like runs up to you and is holding a piece of paper in their lower left hand, and with their two hands on the right side sort of tugs on the like tied off overalls that you've got, and like tugs at you to get your attention.
What you need, kid?
Yeah, and you're sort of used to it, but everybody's never really used to it. Thrycreens do not speak audibly. They communicate telepathically. So like you're looking at this kid, and then you just hear a voice in your head, and it takes a while for some people to get used to the way that they speak. But yeah, they tug you. You ask what it is that they want, and they say, "Ruin Drova, this is your name."
Aye.
And the kid like holds up a little like scroll of paper and says, "You have a friend. Their name's Will."
All right, it's tracking so far. Speed it up. You're giving me a headache.
You should meet them at the Nebula docks, and runs off.
Don't have to tip the messenger. All right.
No, you would assume that this kid had already been paid. And as you unroll the piece of paper, it's tucked in like a oiled envelope. It's a contract, like it's a shipping contract for the duration of a voyage. It is oddly light on details, and it says that the mission that you're doing is exploration and trade.
So smuggling then. Well, looks like I quit at the right time.
Indeed. You can pretty easily make your way to the Nebula docks. It's one of the lower docks. So it takes you a couple of hours to sort of just hoof it to hoof it there. You can flag down any number of rickshaws and get there a little bit faster. But yeah, when you find your way there, you see a harbor master's station, and you do know that the name of the ship, it doesn't have a slip number on it, but you do know the name of the ship that you're looking for, and you were told to meet your friend Will here. And so yeah, there's a little sort of the deck captain's booth that you walk up to, and he looks at me and he says, "Hi, what can I do for you?"
Northwest.
It's slip 14, and he points you that direction, and it's bustling. It looks like it's getting ready to sail. Soon-ish. There's definitely not a full crew on board, but there's people on board, and sure enough, you see your very well-dressed friend Will, who's standing outside, and he's just wrapping up, sort of giving the standard, you are enlisted, this is your expectations, go find something to do and stay busy speech, and like 4 sailors run up the gangplank as you come walking up.
Oi, Will. Still busting the greenies.
Well, not always my preferred job, but when it calls for it, I'm glad that you got my message.
Yeah, well, it seems it came at a perfect time. I just let go of my other job. It got boring.
Oh, was perfect timing then. I'd heard you were working there, but glad I didn't send the runner a couple hours later. I would have come myself, but I had stuff to take care of down here. Unfortunately, we're on a bit of time schedule.
Okay, when we leaving?
Oh, about 8 hours now.
All right, that'll give me enough time to collect what I need to collect. I'm good to go.
Do you need help, funds, anything like that to get together what you need to get together?
Yeah, I got a little bit of a severance pouch on my way out the door of the last job, so I got enough for a meal, a drink, and to grab my stuff.
Good. I'm glad that it wasn't too awkward for you to take this contract. I appreciate having someone that I trust around to make sure that things aren't falling apart.
Well, they said your name, and I pretty much signed up on the spot.
Oh, well, you're sweet then.
Don't tell anybody else.
My lips are sealed.
Not what I heard.
Well, when it comes to at your request, they're sealed for now. Seriously, I owe you one. Thank you.
Fantastic. So,
I love that. Ah.
very fun. So what we're going to say is that over the next 8 or so hours, everybody makes their way onto the northwest. The northwest is would best be described as sort of a Viking longship that has the back half of a more traditional Spanish or English merchant's ship. So it has a quarter deck, but for the most part, it's a very long and thin ship. It does have a second deck below where crew cabins are and all of that kind of stuff. But for the most part, it's a very open ship, and it is a ring ship, as they're often referred to. Sailing through wild space and the astral sea is done through the use of the magical spelljamming helm, which the pilot sits at. But navigating a ship, turning and combat maneuvers, I mean, that still has to happen very much like a ship does. So it has oars that are manned and has a magical ring of sort of magic plasma and fire that helps to propel it. It's really quite a stunning, very fun looking ship. There's not a lot of them that are around. It's not a huge ship, but it does have a crew of about 25 people between the enlisted as well as a much smaller group of officers. Everyone here has at least heard of, if not served with previously, Captain Grawl, who is known to be an incredibly tough and at times violent and vicious captain. She has zero excuses and zero tolerance for piracy, and she runs a very tight ship. And this is thrown together incredibly fast. The launch that happens is done without any real ceremony or anything like that at the end of first watch. So, relatively early in the morning, the Northwest sets sail and leaves Davies Station behind it. You all know that the edge of realm space, the wild space system of Toril and sort of the main world that everyone's used to, can take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks to get there. It is quite a bit of a journey. And from the conversation that's had, you're not really making any stops along the way. The next morning, it is Lockjaw, who, as the first mate, the XO, executive officer, it is Lockjaw's job to gather the entire crew on the deck so that the captain can sort of make her announcements. So how does Lockjaw go about getting everybody up and also ready to hear about the voyage?
I think what he does is he starts drumming. Like walking down, hitting doors, but mainly with a big kind of handheld drum. Wake up, you scurvy dogs! Wake up, you lick spittles! It's time to greet the day, because we are alive and we're heading on the astral sea. And like just beating out a tune. Really taking specific joy in that he is such a heavy drinker that he has woken up. He has had no hangover as he has kept drinking into the morning.
Sure.
And he takes special joy in waking up everyone else.
So yeah, you do that, and there's grumbling and groaning. There's sort of two main cabin of the enlisted men, and then the officers sort of have an officer's cabin that they all share. But yeah, you gather everybody on the deck of the Northwest, sort of facing up at the quarterdeck, and from the spell-jamming helm is this intricately carved wooden and steel and gold wooden chair that is chained to the deck itself, and the chair seems to strain against the chains like the chair was being tossed at sea. And it's on this raised dais of glowing magical runes. Behind this area is two double doors to the captain's quarters. The doors open and Captain Grawl steps through and stands there in front of the spell-jamming helm as you sort of lightly coast out in wild space. I welcome all of you aboard. Many of you I know from our voyages together, but a good fair number of you, especially the enlisted folk, this might be our first time aboard ship with one another. I'll broker no laziness, and I'll broker no theft. You all get a fair share once the officers are taken care of. A fairer share than many other voyages you may have been a part of. Our good Mr. Lockjaw here, his orders are my orders, and I expect them to be followed as such. Cowardice in the line of duty, or in any sort of unfortunate run-ins with others at sea, will be dealt with after the skirmish with a bullet to the back of your skulls. None of you who signed up for this have much worry of making it home. I've made the voyage to Kryn Space twice before. It's our job to chart a new passage, as safe and fast as possible. The likelihood of doing it? Well, if we pull this off, will be legends. Now, Mr. Will, I believe that you'll be working as our spelljammer for the day. And Mr. Lockjaw, you will get us ready to make sail at best possible speed. I expect to be underway within the hour. And she turns and walks back up the stairs to stand at the railing of the quarterdeck.
All right, time to work. And I will basically do what the captain told me. Start rallying people and
all right, absolutely.
Yeah.
The deck explodes into action. I mean, everyone here is a sailor through and through, and they know what it is that they're doing. Below decks, there are like 6 pairs of people, a good half a dozen, a good dozen, which is about half of the crew that are ready to put in the work at the oars. There is a sort of smith and alchemy station in the back where a lot of engineering can sort of start to happen, which is where our good Mr. Ruin will probably be spending a decent amount of his time. And Will, yeah, you Lockjaw and the captain herself can trade so that you're never spell jamming 2 days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And things bust into activity. That first day at sea is pretty, it is very busy, but luckily uneventful. It's later in that first week. You're well past any of the, the Davy Station and the planet that you are used to being able to see high above you in space is nothing more than just sort of the brightest blue dot in the sky. And it is then that we have Lockbridge. It's your watch, and we'll say that one of the other, it's a around the clock sort of thing, but one of your other folks here, let's say that it's
Right, Eugene,
Ruin,
listen. I've already told you this once, alright? I'm going to show you this again. The only important thing to know about not watch is don't wake me up, alright? Unless the ship is on fire, or if someone is about to board our ship, you don't wake up Lockridge, alright? You understand? Eugene, I'm not hearing an answer, Eugene.
yes. Oh God. I, sir.
All right,
I can make sure that.
And what do we tell the captain about Lockridge's naps?
I don't know what
he's meditating. That's what you tell him. You tell the captain that he is meditating and sharpening his senses, so that he can be aware of all the danger. All right. And the snoring is a war bellow to scare away monsters.
Right, absolutely.
Right, don't you screw me on this, Eugene.
Get back to...
I swear it. No, I've done it before. I've strapped someone to the figurehead for days. No one found him until I remembered when we landed back on port. All right?
I absolutely believe you 100%. I'm gonna get back to my station.
You get back to your station.
Also, it's Francis, but yes, sir. Thank you.
I'm gonna call you Eugene until you earn your name. All right? Don't you correct me.
Yes, sir. And Eugene Francis gets back to gets back to his station. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Lockridge has Lockridge has a spot on the ship. It is at the bow, because of various forms of PTSD that he has. He finds that the rocking of the front of the ship tends to soothe him while he sleeps. So there's actually a little spot where Lockridge props himself up and has his sleep.
Oh, sure, absolutely. That's wonderful. You're able to prop yourself up there. Make a perception check for me, please.
All right, just bear with me while I very quickly. Oh no! I was gonna show the no. Go wait. Oh, I was trying to show the ship map. There.
Oh yeah, we can throw the ship map up.
We can show the ship map.
It's very pretty.
It's very pretty. There it is. Look at it. Isn't she beautiful?
Oh.
It's so nice.
Yes,
that's our girl.
You're up here.
Right.
Up here, yeah. The bow of the ship, where a figurehead normally would be carved into the front of this, there is a carved sort of hand that is holding just a nebula, just this blue, gaseous, flowing, ethereal ball of a nebula in the grip of this hand at at the bow of the ship. And then, of course, the gold ring of fire and plasma that sort of helps to propel it along.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna be sleeping
All
in the
right.
glow of that nebula. And you said perception
Nice.
check?
Yeah. Yes, please.
Oof,
And
that
8.
is an
Yeah,
8.
absolutely. Cool. So you are sleeping just fine.
Objective achieved.
Absolutely.
Not going to let anything wake me up.
We'll say that Ruin, you are also sort of on this watch. You can be on deck if you'd like, or would you be below deck in one of the in some more of the shop engineering area?
Probably I'm gonna feel like I need to inspect any and all of the artillery. See if anything needs greased, oiled, patched. So just wandering around from cannon to cannon, mechanism to mechanism, taking notes.
Sure. Absolutely. And you know, you are the weaponry of the Northwest is very interesting to you. You are a trained cannoneer. Most ships will have ballista, so these giant arrows the size of telephone poles that get fired, and you know that they're these 3-person. It takes 3 people to operate a ballista. In this first week, as you're getting used to, you're one of the enlisted. And as a cannoneer, artilleryman, these are referred to as bolt cannons. And so you see them, that they are, these big cylindrical metal objects that have this hatch in the back that you open up, but then it's the ballista bolts that you're used to seeing that get loaded into these. And from talking with the other crewmen and talking with Lockridge and all of that kind of stuff, so these bolt cannons, they do not do nearly as much damage as a normal ballista, but the trade-off on a smaller ship like this is that it only takes 2 crewmen to operate them. What that means for us mechanically is that it'll only take 2 actions instead of 3 full actions to aim, load, aim, and fire. But they're very interesting, and they seem to have been designed and made specifically for this ship. It's not something that you've really seen before. So you are on deck. Absolutely. We'll say you are checking out this sort of port side midships cannon. And you recognize, and Lockridge is a fellow that you've seen him someplace before. Actually, just make a straight up make a history check.
$21.
21. Yeah, absolutely. You remember that the attack on Davies Station about 6-7 months ago. You remember that Lockridge was one of the people that you fought with. It took like an hour of your life, and so it's a very hectic moment. But
he's the one that fired that bloody cannon off next to my head.
Yes, very
Damn
much
near
so.
deafened me.
Ears were ringing for a couple of days after that one. You're at this, and I know they're not on the map, but let's just go ahead and sort of always assume that there are quite a few crewmen that are running around and all that kind of stuff. I don't think we need to take the time to put all these different tokens up there for us. But it is a night watch, and so there's only about 6 or 8 people on the deck, and you two are 2 of them. You hear sort of the sound of a quickly slipping rope. You feel that the ship sort of comes to slow as it starts to decelerate. And this cannon over here, this cannon that is on the starboard port side cannon, you see that it begins to come loose from it. It is, in fact, a loose cannon as it rolls across the deck and pins a crewman between this port side cannon, this starboard cannon, and the port side cannon, and smashes a guy between the two of them. That crashing and screaming Lockridge does wake you up. And Ruin, you're about 20, 25 feet away from it.
I'll start just calling for anybody to help as I try to see if I can find something to use as for leverage to try and move this thing.
What is all the bloody nose?
We got a loose cannon on deck.
Well, that's all right. Okay, half his rations and tell him not to fuck up again. Oh, you mean a literal loose cannon? All right.
Literal loose cannon.
You see a guy who there's a dark, very dark red stain pooling on the deck as this guy's left leg is pinned between these two, 150, 200-pound cannons.
All right. Well,
can you move this thing? You're a biggin.
Oh, I'm a biggin. All right. Well, let's see if I can move this thing. I'm going to do so, and because I'm a hippopotamus, I'll get advantage on this.
Alrighty. So it's just a strength check from you?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. That's a 12.
You said you get advantage though?
Oh yeah. Then that is. That is a dirty 20.
Dirty 20, that works for me. So yeah, with that dirty 20, you're able to just sort of haul this cannon a good couple feet, and the guy collapses at your feet.
Medic!
All right, I'm gonna push it back into its housing and try to sort of lash it back to the to its whatever affixes this thing to its spot.
Yeah, you're able to lash that and get that where that needs to go. Make a dexterity check for me.
Ooh, that's an 8.
You are working on it. You are clearly a little bit preoccupied with what has happened essentially on your watch, but another crewmate comes by and says, I got it, sir, if you need to look at that. And he starts reattaching it.
Yes,
tying it up.
All right, thank you, Eugene. Don't worry, just make sure it doesn't happen again. Is there a medic on board?
There absolutely is a medic on board. Yes, so you're able to sort of yell, and there is there's a guy that sort of runs up the stairs, and is able to start applying essentially like a med kit. He's wrapping it, and he kind of looks up at the two of you and looks down at just the leg itself, and he gives both of you just a shake, a no of his head, and says, Ruin looks to you and says, all right, pick him up with me. And you looks at you, Lockridge, and says, come with me, I'm going to need your help. The two of you drag him below deck. So below deck, on the second deck, there is essentially a large mess area where there's large tables, and this medic puts this guy onto the table, and Lockridge tells you, I'm gonna need you to hold him down.
All right. I'm gonna place my hands, I'm gonna sort of stand where his shoulders are, and these two big meaty hands kind of just hold his chest and his hip.
Okay. And as you hold him in place, you see the medic sort of reaches over and finds like this large. It kind of looks like just a leather belt. It's just this leather strap that's used to secure stowage and all that, and wraps it around the guy's leg just above the knee. And Ruin has you hold that and tells you, keep this as tight as you can. And he begins to saw the guy's leg off, where the two cannons have pulverized the bone.
I'll lean into it and keep it as still as I can.
So yeah, between the two of you, let's have both of you make athletics or acrobatics checks to see how either strength-wise or dexterous-wise you want to try to keep this guy still. All right, Lockwood, yeah, you keep him. Yeah, beautiful. You are able to do so. Do either of the two of you say anything to this crewman to help him get through probably the worst 2 minutes of his life?
Just do that standard. So where are you from? Pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. What's your name? Where you from? How's it going?
Make a charisma check.
Oh, this will be fun. Well,
you know what? It's above a 10. It like amazingly, he's just like he's yelling, but it's like raspy, like he's still barely conscious, but you can tell he's trying to yell as he's just like telling you about the town he grew up in until his words start to slur and he just passes out. But you keep tension on the tourniquet, and there is, you know, the you see like these teas and medicinal herbs and stuff just sort of appear on the table from the cook. And this guy gets, now by this point, quite a few folks have woken up. But you know, this poor soldier, this poor sailor who has just lost his leg, gets taken back to the communal bunk where they are, and he's watched after by this medic for the rest of the night. The next morning, everybody is on deck again, and the captain is there, and everybody's sort of lined up. The guy who lost his leg is not there. And everybody is called up on board, and the captain is sort of pacing between the two lines of everybody. Everybody's kind of lined up in two big lines facing each other, and the captain says, "Last night we had a fairly egregious dereliction of duty. Our starboard side fore cannon was not secured correctly, and while the resulting catastrophe was handled marvelously well by Misters Lockridge and Ruin, a young man lost his leg. Whose duties last night were to secure the artillery?" And you see actually the young man who helped treat it, the medic, and like he didn't like cast magic spells or anything. He's not what you would consider a cleric, but the young man who helped, like knew what to do, steps forward.
As he steps forward, Lockridge will put a hand out and sort of stop him and step forward and say, "Yes, I'm sorry, Captain. That was my duty. I was supposed to be running the double checks before the start of my shift. I thought they were secure. I must have made a lapse in judgment. Perhaps the line wasn't connected at both ends, but I only checked the one attached to the ship. Responsibility lies with me, Captain.
The captain sort of walks up, and so there's you, and then the other young man who had started to walk forward.
I'll sort of like
says,
step forward, as in like stepping out of formation, as it were.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And so the captain looks at you, and like she saw the other guy start to move, but recognizes what you're doing very much so. And she nods and looks to Lockjaw and says, for dereliction of duty leading to the injury of a member under his watch, Mr. Lockjaw, if you will please carry out 10 lashes. And for dereliction of duty of your immediate duties, and she grabs the young man who was supposed to have tied it, and she drags him and throws him overboard.
Can I take an action as she is in the process of doing that?
Make a dexterity check.
I wouldn't.
Not a physical action.
Whoa.
I was hoping to send a quick message to her, but 5.
Oh dear.
Oh no.
She got a 6. She got a 16. So he is. We'll say that the message goes through as he goes overboard.
Okay.
What was the message?
That went down to 2.
The message that Captain Grawl quietly hears in her head that no one else hears is, Captain, not to tell you how to do your job, but we're down 1 crew. Let's not lose 2.
Well. Well.
Make a charisma check. Make a charisma check.
Persuasion or charisma?
Make a persuasion check.
All right.
Can she bring him back from the edge?
I am going to use knowledge of a past life on that.
Oh.
So that bumps that up to a 14.
To a 14?
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. So 2 things. As you have used knowledge from a past life, I need you to make a percentile roll for me, please.
Oh. Okay. I don't like that.
OG Lava
57.
Kitten has asked as well.
Okay,
Was that our only
yeah.
medic?
Cool. Well, he knows he made a medicine check is what he did. As far as medic goes, you would know if you have a cleric on board or not. Okay, no, 57 is fine. So he is essentially moving his movement speed towards the edge of the air bubble, which is 135 feet from the edge of the railing of the ship. As the captain walks back to her cabin, she yells, "Dismissed, man overboard." You passed the persuasion check. So,
all right. At this point, at hearing that, I'm going to look at Lockjaw. We've done this a couple of times with man overboards, so I'm simply going to toss Lockjaw one end of a rope, and I'm going to rush over to one of the sides and pick up a harpoon and basically get ready to just, well, if I can, toss it straight away.
Haul him in.
Yep.
Yep. I will, tie some other kind of knot so that the other end's secure, and I'll be there to bring it in.
Cool.
Nice. Just make an attack roll. Just make a straight up attack roll. I believe you actually have a harpoon, so you can use that.
I do have a harpoon.
I know you're not like trying to skewer the guy.
No.
I don't think.
And stay dead.
Well, that's a 9. However, if I may, I might burn my grit.
That's the.
To use
Is that with the blunderbuss?
Oh yeah, because I don't have the. Oh, actually no, you added it to my thing. Hold on, I need to equip it. I don't have it equipped.
Okay.
Hold on. So harpoon equip.
Yeah, then just re-roll it. Don't worry about that 9. Then.
Okay, cool, sweet. Yay! All right. And then I go here. I want to make it as a ranged attack though.
Otherwise, I could tie the rope around my waist and go for a swim, eh?
All right.
Might roll it. Oh yeah, no. So yeah, you are able to sort of do this, getting him hauled back on board pretty easily. As far as the lashes go, though,
I still need to give lashes. That's not negotiable.
I do need Lockjaw to just make real quick. We'll say you could do double actions. Just make 5 attack rolls for me, please. We're gonna see if any of these crit.
Okay.
And this is
just
after
like
we've pulled this guy back.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Just with like an unarmed strike.
Because I'd
just
be like, what now?
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. This is
not cool.
This is later in the afternoon when this is being taken care of, and all we're looking for is to see if Ellen happens to roll a natural 20.
Okay, and that was 5. All right.
Yeah, we'll say you double actions, so that gets all 10.
2, 3, 4, 5.
All right. So Lockridge, you go to bed that evening fairly bruised and bloodied, but nothing that won't heal itself over the natural course of time.
Right.
It's like the idea of like, Lockjaw will help Lockridge out for the good of the ship, but it's also like, if you wanted to stick up for someone, then you have to bear the punishment.
Oh yeah. And I imagine this isn't the first time Lockridge has gone through this sort of thing. Like he said, he's got like big, massive rolls of like fat and muscle, and even revealing onto his back, he's probably been lashed a few times before in the past. Not necessarily by Lockjaw, but like in general. But he doesn't. He once he's done. He puts on his jacket, as he always does, and looks to Lockjaw and sort of taps him on the shoulder and says, "Want to play cards tonight?"
Yeah, deal me in.
All right, the lads and I will play poker. We'll see you up on deck then.
Excellent.
And he'll walk away, but then as he sort of gets towards his bunk, because obviously it's the middle of the day and usually Lockridge is asleep all the time, but like. This is where he's scheduled to sleep.
This is when you are actually scheduled to sleep.
Yeah. He's gonna get to his bunk in his hammock, and he's gonna kind of sway a little bit and like place his hand like on one of the strut supports for a moment before sort of standing up tall and proud and going back to the hammock.
Sure. Alrighty. So we have a little bit of time. Would anybody like to? I would love to hear any specific interactions between you guys on watch, any specific moments that you want to have in these first, it's been about a week. So let's say within this next week at sea, what specific interactions or moments amongst yourselves would you like to have? You're constantly busy. You're working about You're working about a 12-hour day, no matter what time of day that is. There is a huge dinner that happens every evening, that everybody is a part of, and then food that you're able to get to. As a note, it is very fun that we have in the kitchen area in the galley area below deck. She's so large she actually can't really get out of the galley area, but Lana is the ship's cook. Lana is about if she stands up fully to her full height, Lana is about a 12-foot tall arachnid woman. She has the torso of a elven looking woman, and then the back half of a black and green spider. She wears these beautiful paisley and pastel aprons and shirts all of the time. She's a really lovely woman, but essentially looks like a drider. And that is the ship's cook. But in this next week, what interactions would you like to have amongst yourselves?
I would probably. What was it? What was the crewmate who got his leg removed? What was his name? Amongst the screaming.
Yes, amongst all of the screaming. So
It's Peg
much
Leg Pete
screaming.
now.
Not as much screaming as the squid incident, I tell you that.
That's true.
Their name is Villia.
Villia.
In my off hours, I'm probably going to go through my personal effects so I don't take as much as I have to from ship stores. See if I can craft a replacement leg.
Oh, fantastic. Let's get that started then. Let's do a tinkering or a craft. You should have, I believe you have tinkering.
Let's see, where's that?
Not tinkering.
Yeah.
Magical tinkering, imbue a non-magical object with nope, that's spell stuff. Features and traits. Artificer features. I've got magical tinkering, spell casting, infuse item, artificer infusions. Specialist, right tool for the job.
What does your tinkering, your magical tinkering go off of?
Scroll back up.
As your class trait.
Magical tinkering, one action. Using intelligence as your spell casting modifier.
Alrighty. So then I think what we'll use is, sorry, I'm looking at you right here. Make an Arcana check for me.
Well, yeah, look at that.
Oh.
We got. All right. There we go. So we're going to call that. Nix, I'll ask you to keep track of these for me. We can do one of these a day. And we're going to put, essentially, you're trying to make something that's a little bit nicer than like a peg leg.
Yeah.
We're going to put that DC at 12. And you can make one of these a day. Once you get to 3 successes, you have crafted it for Villia.
Okay.
So for this day, at least, we'll give that a no. But we're going to have a full week, so we can make a couple more of those if we need to. But yeah, so you spend some time doing that. Who else has any specific interactions that they want to have over this next week?
Wait, go ahead.
It's pretty much right after the incident with the crewmate getting tossed overboard by the captain. In the next half hour, keeping more eyes on different places of the ship seems useful. So Will goes back down to their personal belongings and is going to cast Find Familiar and bring Prince around. And from pretty much that point on, there's a small kingfisher that's sort of seen flitting around the ship, oftentimes with Will and, or if Will is below decks, pretty much always on one of the railings, just sort of looking around.
Awesome.
And he will. Will's going to try and find a moment where Captain Grawl is available and not in a foul mood, or at least in a more neutral mood, considering her temperament.
Sure. I mean, for the most part, during the day when she's around and she is working, and a lot of it is the navigation and whatnot. It's not like she comes across as particular, and even in the moment where that discipline and throwing the guy, it's not like you got this. Make an insight check for me. You know of Grawl by reputation, but I don't think you know her well.
That's a 1.
Okay. Actually, in the moment of throwing him overboard, like, I mean, it could go either way. You aren't sure if that was this sucks, I have to do this, or if it was a thing that she was enjoying getting to do this. She didn't care who it was to. She's a very, very, very difficult woman to read. But you can try to approach her during the day. At mess in the evening for dinner, like, you sit at the officers' table with Lockjaw and Lockridge and the captain. So, like, I mean, that is who she is during that moment is much different than who she is during quote unquote working hours.
Mm-hmm. Will's going to try to catch her at a moment in her quarters, or in the captain's quarters, where there aren't a lot of crew around, if possible.
Yeah, you can knock on the door easily enough, and you just hear her say, "Enter."
Opens the door and just sort of slips inside, closing it behind them. Captain,
Mr. Will, what can I do for you?
I want to apologize for if I spoke out of turn earlier. I just wanted to make sure that, well, as I said, we were down one person. I wanted to make sure that we didn't lose too many too quickly, if it could be avoided. And I apologize if I spoke out of turn or came across as me trying to tell you how to do your job.
Mr. Will, I appreciate your position on this expedition and the position that your company holds over this ship. You, in point of fact, did not speak out of turn. I appreciate your point of view, and the way you handled it was the safest way you could have handled it. We recovered the man, and it's a mistake he'll never make again. But I will gladly throw one person overboard than lose one person to their negligence.
That's fair, Captain. I just wanted to make sure that you and I understood each other in terms of what I was trying to say and how I was trying to say it.
She sort of nods up, and you can see on the inside of the door frame, there is a preserved arm of a it looks like it's a Goliath arm. Mr. Lockjaw was not always my XO. My former XO and I did not understand each other well. I think you and I are fine.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that. I'd hate for it to be otherwise, he says, making direct eyes at the arm hanging from the ceiling.
It's mounted. It's not like hanging vertically, but
I mean,
yeah, it's like a taxidermied preserved arm of her former XO.
And just for future reference, would you rather I did not communicate with you that way?
I actually think that it's quite a handy skill to be able to have in certain situations. And the way you handled it was more than acceptable.
I like to think so.
You had a concern and you were an officer aboard this ship. I will always listen.
Well, that's really all I can ask. Thank you for your time, Captain.
Absolutely. Nix, why don't you go ahead and have Ruin make a couple more of those arcane rolls, and we'll see if anything over the next few days of this week.
Okay, so 1. That's an 11. So that's
getting close.
So 1 more. Oh, that's a 22.
All right. So there we go. So we've got a.
So we're on day.
We'll say in this first week. Yeah, you got a good fit, like where just below the knee is, and then you'll be able to start sort of building a little bit better off of there. It's into this sort of 4th week of travel. You are all at it is mess. You are all below decks, sort of having a pretty good time at dinner. It is a kind of the equivalent of a Sunday dinner. So there's actually some meat that's going in with this, and sweetbreads, and like a corn fritter that's going on there. And let me actually pull us up a map of all of our decks here.
Woo!
Fancy.
Good to have a proper meal. Hell yeah.
And we'll say that we're sort of all here around what is essentially the officers' mess down here below decks. Here's Lana here, our Drider cook.
Yeah.
As well as quite a bit. It's pretty packed here all together. And you are sort of at the table and chatting and telling some stories. It's a pretty light evening. We'll say we're into 4 weeks now. So Ruin, we'll say that you actually have been able to craft that leg, and we'll say that Villia is sort of sitting next to you down here at the enlisted mess that you're sitting at. He's sitting next to you, and he's got this. Describe the prosthetic leg that you make for him.
I mean, just pretty as bog standard as I could get. Not want to take too much from ship stores, but just your basic, articulating knee, articulating ankle, and then just a humanoid leg shape.
Cool. Yeah. So he's kind of showing it off to folks. We'll say that he's probably only had it for a couple of days, and his leg has healed up fairly nicely. He's gotten to go back to work. The other guy, the other half-elven guy, Klein, who is the guy who got thrown overboard. He was an ensign, but seems to have been busted down to enlisted and is sitting at the table. It seems that Villia and Klein have sort of made up. I mean, you guys are looking at like a year-long voyage together, and this seems to have been a horrible thing that happened, and now it's over. Villia seems to be that kind of person that just sort of, hey, look, it's done, so why dwell on it? Klein seems to always like give his ration of rum or of ale or whatever to Villia for the day. But Captain Grawl at dinner, where you all here are, let's see. We'll put you. We'll say that that's how you're sort of all seated around the officers' mess. Captain Grawl sort of looks at the three of you, Will, Lockridge, and Lockjaw. Says, "Well, it does occur to me that we have a vacancy that needs to be filled as far as a lower commissioned officer, the ensignship that Mr. Klein has vacated in such a spectacular fashion. Does anybody have any names from the crew that they would like to put forward?"
Ruin Drova.
Or our cannoneer. You two have served together previously, yes?
I've worked with him before. He's trustworthy. He's a good worker. And he was one of the, along with Lockridge, was one of the people who was able to make sure that that cannon got off of Villia in the first place.
XO, Quartermaster. Indeed, Quartermaster, XO, do you have anything to say about our young Mr. Drova here?
Oh, I think I do remember that incident. Well, I mean, it always pays to have a fighter. And if you can beat me in a leg wrestle, even better. Oh, I'm only joshing. We'll see
the captain sort of the captain sort of laughs at that and sort of just says, "Well, I'm not saying no to having that be a part of what happens over the next couple of days, but perhaps not right away." Mr. Lockridge, any input on?
I'm inclined to agree as well. First of all, I had to speak with Mr. Ruan a couple of times. He was at the port during a big fight when those pirates decided to come and start a bit of trouble back on the back on that place whose name I'm very, very familiar with.
Davy Station.
That one, yes. No, see, exactly. So I'm so familiar with it. It came from my brain into your mouth and then straight out. That's how familiar I was with that location. So he was there and he was quite skilled straight away. I could tell already that he had a mind for engineering. But it's not just his skills that he's already been put into use. Did you know in his downtime he built a leg for one of the crewmates, the one who got caught up in all that incident? I mean, if we're looking for officers, we're looking for people that can go above and beyond. And what better way to go above and beyond than to build a leg for someone?
Right. The captain sort of nods and she wipes her mouth and picks up an ale, her ale tankard, and stands, and sort of the mess hall sort of goes quiet as the captain stands, and says, "All crew, report above decks." And as she leads the crew and everybody up to the top deck, you see that there's sort of the ring that drives the ship itself. She takes out a dagger. It's a dirk. So it's got a blade of about 12 to 14 inches. It's razor sharp on one side and dull on the other. It's got a grip with no queons or anything like that. It's just a bright red wood with a white and gold rondelle flat pommel. And you all recognize, all three of you recognize, all of you were given this dagger, this dirk, when you came aboard ship. It hangs, bare pointed blade down, about 12 to 15 feet in the air above the quarterdeck. And the whole crew is sort of crowded up here, and some of them are down below to look at it. Some of the crew sort of knows what it is that's going on. And the captain says, Mr. Drover, if you would step forward, please.
I kind of look around and step forward.
In recognition of the kind words said by the officers of the Northwest, as well as your adherence to your duties and going above and beyond duties for the well-being of some of your crewmates, a badge of office from enlisted to ensign hangs above you. It's yours if you can get it. And you look at it and it's a tough jump, but you think if you stand on the railing of the quarterdeck and jump at this ring of plasma and magical fire, to grab the bare blade, you might be able to make it.
I'll climb up onto the railing, and as I do so, I will absolutely shoot a dirty look at the officers.
As Ruin walks past Will just pats him on the shoulder and says, "Told you I owed you," and cast guidance.
Guidance. Oh, nice.
Very nice.
You don't try to overextend. Your hand goes into the ring. It's very hot.
I'm building my one.
Unless anybody else wants to do anything before this roll happens.
Nah, mate. If you can't handle it, then you're not fit for the job.
Please, you have guidance, and I need an athletics or an acrobatics with advantage.
Okay, so... And then roll for advantage.
All right, that will do it. It was a pretty low roll, but it was the 12 that we needed, and so we got that. So as you jump, you just get your fingers on the edge of this blade, but you make it. You jump from the railing. You wrap your hands around it. You are about 15 feet plus your jump. So as you hit the ground, I need you to take... Ooh, Jesus. I need you to please take 12 points of falling and slashing damage as you grab the knife and then land very badly.
Perfect.
Oh, dear.
The captain lets out this loud roaring bellow. The crew cheers and applauds. You even see that Klein and who lost this position, Klein and Villa both sort of run up to you and clap you on the back. You've become friends with them, and everyone's sort of celebrating the new officer aboard the Northwest. And it's in the middle of this cheering that the boat rocks. There's a loud bang from below, and as you run towards the stairway to see what it is, you see that towards the aft of the ship below, coming from the alchemy and smithing station, you see that the back half of the ship is erupted into flames, and crawling up from the hatch to the ballast and stowage you see swarms of insects, giant spiders, and phasing into existence a man-sized, lightning-covered plasma spider phases into existence on the prime material plane. Another explosion from below deck sends the ship shuddering out of its spell jamming travel. I need everybody to please roll initiative.
Oh.
And that is where we are going to pick up next week with the continuing adventures of the Flight of the Northwest.
Oh my god. Who left crumbs? That's what I
was about to say, you were like, 4 weeks have passed. And I was just sort of like, wait a second. At the beginning, you said 4 weeks earlier.
Indeed.
I don't like that.
So we know quite a bit is going to happen, and we will see you all here next week to figure out what is going on with these crazy phase spiders, the explosions, and what is going to lead to the death saves and poor young Mr. Klein throwing himself overboard. I want to say a huge thank you to everybody that has tuned in for this. I have been dreaming of running a Spelljammer for so long, and I have to say an absolute huge thank you to all of my players, and Michael for letting me run this game here. But please, we'll start up there with Lockjaw, with Ellen, and then we'll go around the circle. Please tell us who you are, where we can find all of your fun stuff, and all of that.
Excellent. Well, this has been a blast. I can't wait to see how I die next week. And I am Ellen Graham, or Ellen K Graham 1. If you follow me on Twitter, I do a lot of TTRPG stuff and content, cosplay, things like that. I am a creator and performer for the Any-winning TTRPG podcast Roll to Cast. Each season is a different game system and original story. We're currently doing Avatar Legends. It's super fun. And tomorrow we are doing our monthly live stream picked by our patrons. We're going back to Cyberpunk Red. We have a special guest in the form of GM Rob Mulligan from Cyber Nation Uncensored. It's going to be super fun. So tune in, Roll to Cast on our YouTube channel tomorrow at 9:30 Australian Central Time. You can find me on Sirenscape weekly. You can find me on Cyber Nation Uncensored monthly. And I'm just out and about. I do a lot. I'll be at PAX in October as well. So come say hello, because I like it when you say hello. And that's me.
Nick. Nix, where can we find you?
Hi, I'm Nix. I'm a glass etcher, streamer, an internet silly person, and you're just a kilted himbo. I'm generally Punkle Nix in most spaces, or MC Etching. You can find me.
Fantastic. Tucker, where can we find you? Relatively new.
Yeah, my name's Tucker. I'm just starting up a freelance 3D modeling right now. So I've got actually some things for, if you saw the model of the ship that popped up behind Ryan, I just threw that up. You can find me on Instagram at shadowcast_creations, or on Twitter at shadowcast3dm. Not really anything on the Twitter right now, but stuff will be going up on both of those as more stuff comes out.
Absolutely. And yeah, like you said, Tucker made the 3D model of the Northwest. It's absolutely gorgeous. My name is Ryan, running this craziness. You can find me on Twitter at R4I Vlog, and you can find me on YouTube at Roll4 Initiative, roll the number 4 Initiative. Dawn and I make geeky videos about D&D, TTRPGs, system agnostic stuff, DM diaries, reviewing different games and supplements that are out there. We're just big nerds, as well as our newly opened store where we make a bunch of fun geek and Viking apparel. So yeah, Roll for Initiative, that's me. And then Michael, the one that's making this all happen.
Hi! I mean, I've obviously. Hi, guys! G'day, my name's Michael. I'm the Dead Aussie Gamer. This is my place. This is my face. And you can find it here a ton of times during the week doing fun and awesome stuff, as well as on other channels. Like our dear Ellen, I will be at PAX this year, so do stop by if you are in the area and come say hi, because likewise, I enjoy having a ton of fun. It is R4I. There we go. Yay, we got it. There. All right. And what am I doing? Jeez. Well, now we've got this show up and running, so you can catch me here every Friday night for the folks in the US, Saturday morning for us in Australia. Do I have anything else coming up? I don't think I do. I think I've actually got it pretty easy recently. I am on Quincy's Tavern, so you can come check me out over on there. We have a new project coming up, which if you guys are in the United States, guys, I'm going to be in the US in May for a project known as The Convergence, where Quincy from Quincy's Tavern is creating a live pop-up tavern to actually go to and hang out with not only Quincy, but play games with a ton of Quincy's friends. There are people who are going to be there in costume, giving you actual quests at the theme park. I will be one of them, so you'll come and see me as one of the characters that I play over in Quincy's Tavern, just hanging out and chilling and playing games with people. So yeah, like, you know, guys, I'm doing tons and tons of stuff. If you want to check that out, it's called The Convergence. I will put a link somewhere. And yeah, that's what I'm up to. Thank you again to Ryan for facilitating this game. This is amazing. This is so much fun. Will, the art is amazing and incredible. Thank you to Dawn for the maps, which you guys saw, because those looked absolutely incredible. Honestly, I cannot wait to see what future lies ahead for all of our wonderful characters. Hold on, let me get these going. All right, now we are going to go and raid another friend of our channel. This is Distal Place, another role player. So be sure to head in there, throw out all the emotes, throw out all the love. You know, we are a community where we like to bring people up and make people feel welcomed and loved. So be sure to check them out, give them a follow, and till we meet again, as always, guys, from us to you, game hard or die trying. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah.